Have you ever stopped to think that maybe the way you love is not actually yours? That the way you chase people, the way you pull back, the way you need constant reassurance, or cannot stand receiving it at all, the way you fall for the same kind of person again and again, even when it destroys you? What if none of that is a coincidence? What if the love you give today was designed, quietly, invisibly, by a child who had no choice in the matter? You think you are choosing your partner. You think you are choosing how close to let someone get. But Carl Jung saw something far more uncomfortable. He saw that most people do not choose who they love at all. They repeat, and they repeat, and they repeat, until the pattern finally breaks them open enough to see it. By the end of this video, you will see exactly what was built inside you and why love has felt the way it has. It started in a room you can barely remember. Before you had language for love, you were already learning it, not from books, not from advice, from the people who were supposed to keep you safe, from the way your mother held you, or didn't, from the way your father looked at you when you cried, or left the room, from the silences that stretched too long, from the arguments behind closed doors that nobody ever explained. You were reading the room before you could read a single word, and the lessons came in quietly. Don't be too needy, don't ask for too much. If you're good enough, they'll stay. If you're small enough, they won't leave. Nobody said these things out loud. They didn't need to. You felt them in the air, and you built your entire understanding of love around them. Here's the disturbing part. That understanding never got updated. The child who learned that love is conditional grew into an adult who over-apologizes, who shrinks, who gives endlessly hoping someone will finally stay without needing to be begged. The child who learned that closeness leads to pain grew into an adult who self-sabotages every relationship the moment it gets real, the moment someone gets close enough to actually hurt them. But here is what most people never realize. You are not reacting to the person in front of you. You are reacting to everyone who came before them. Jung called this the beginning of the shadow, and what lives inside it is darker than most people ever dare to look. Carl Jung spent his life studying the parts of the human psyche that people refuse to look at. He was not interested in who you think you are. He was obsessed with who you actually are, beneath the performance, beneath the coping, beneath the version of yourself you present to the world. And what he found was this. Every child develops what Jung called the shadow, the unconscious storehouse of everything that was rejected, suppressed, or shamed out of you in early life. Your needs that were too big, your emotions that made people uncomfortable, your authentic self that learned very quickly that it was safer to hide. But the shadow does not disappear. It goes underground. And this is where most people get trapped, because the shadow does not stay buried. It surfaces, most powerfully, most dangerously, in the people we are drawn to. Jung called this projection, the unconscious act of seeing your own unresolved wounds in another person and mistaking that recognition for love. This is why you are magnetically pulled toward people who feel familiar, not comfortable. Familiar, there's a profound difference. Familiar means they recreate the emotional environment of your childhood, the push and pull, the uncertainty, the need to earn affection, and your nervous system, trained since birth to navigate exactly that environment, lights up and calls it chemistry. Jung wrote, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But the real danger is something else entirely. You are not just projecting your wounds onto your partner. You are unconsciously selecting partners who will confirm what the wounded child already believes, that love is unstable, that you are too much, that you will eventually be left. Ask yourself honestly, who does this pattern actually serve? The villain is not your partner. It is not your parents. It is not even the past. It is the unconscious script that was written for you before you were old enough to refuse it. Jung called this the complex, a cluster of emotionally charged beliefs buried in the unconscious that hijack your behavior without your awareness or consent. Your mother complex, your father complex, the love complex that tells you, beneath every relationship you enter, exactly how it is going to end, because it has always ended that way before. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. You call it love. But look closer. Sometimes what you call love is actually the desperate need to finally get from a partner what you never received as a child. The validation, the consistency, the the proof that you are worth staying for. You are not falling in love with a person. You are falling in love with the possibility of finally being healed by one. And that is the cruelest trap of all, because no partner, no matter how patient, no matter how loving, can reach back into your childhood and rewrite it. That work belongs to you alone. But here is what Jung understood that most people never do. The pattern is not your punishment. It is your invitation. Every relationship that breaks you open in the same place is pointing, with painful precision, at exactly the wound that most needs your attention. The way out begins the moment you stop blaming the person in front of you and start asking what they are showing you about yourself. Jung didn't believe that wounds could simply be wished away. He believed they had to be faced directly, honestly, and with a courage most people spend their entire lives avoiding. He called this process individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who you actually are, rather than who your wounds taught you to be. 3 steps, grounded in Jung's work, available to you today. Step 1, name your pattern. Before anything can change, it must be seen. Look at your last 2 or 3 significant relationships. Not at what went wrong with the other person, at what went wrong in the same place every time. The same argument, the same withdrawal, the same moment you either chase harder or completely shut down. That repetition is not bad luck. That is your complex speaking. Write it down. Name it plainly. When someone pulls away, I panic and chase. Or, when someone gets too close, I find a reason to leave. The act of naming it begins to loosen its grip. Step 2, trace it back. Once you have named the pattern, trace it to its origin, not to assign blame, but to understand where the script was written. Ask yourself, where did I first feel this? Who first taught me that love looked like this? This is not about reliving the wound. It is about recognizing that the child who developed this pattern was doing the only thing they could with what they had, and that you are no longer that child. You have choices now that they did not. Step 3, choose a different response. Jung believed that awareness without action is simply more suffering. The moment you catch your pattern activating, the moment the anxiety rises, the moment you feel the pull to chase or retreat, pause, 1 breath, and choose, deliberately, a response that the wounded child never had access to. Staying when you want to run, speaking when you want to disappear, receiving love without immediately questioning if it is real. This will feel unnatural. Do it anyway. Fair warning, this work will surface grief you did not know you were carrying. There will be moments where the clarity hurts more than the confusion did. That is not a sign to stop. That is the sound of something real beginning. The person on the other side of this work loves differently, not perfectly, not without fear, but consciously. They catch themselves mid-pattern and choose again. They stop punishing their partner for wounds their parents left. They stop outsourcing their healing to someone who was never equipped to deliver it. They become, slowly and painfully and beautifully, someone who can be loved and who can actually feel it landing. The signs that this shift is happening. You notice the old pull without immediately obeying it. A relationship feels stable, and you do not immediately find it suspicious. You ask for what you need without rehearsing all the ways it will be refused. These are not small things. These are everything. Jung wrote, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But on the other side of that terror is the only love that was ever going to last. Not the love that mirrors your wound. The love that meets your wholeness. You do not have to keep loving the way you were taught. That was their story. This one is yours. I want you to do one thing before you leave this video. Think about your earliest memory of feeling unloved or unseen or like too much. Just one memory. And in the comments, finish the sentence. I learned that love meant. 1 sentence. That is all, because naming it here in front of others is the first act of refusing to carry it alone any longer. If this video reached something real in you, subscribe. Every video on this channel is built for the person ready to stop repeating and start understanding. The next video goes even deeper into the specific attachment style your childhood built in you and exactly what it is costing you in your relationships right now. Watch it immediately. What you discover might change everything.